Okay, very nice. So now I'm looking at currently slide 2 of the conclusion lecture. So I thought I would just, actually, I guess it's slide 3, the general tips. So the first thing that you need to do in a conclusion is conclude. So remember, these are in almost all public speaking situations, you will be timed. And once you've done the heart of the speech in the body, the conclusion really serves the function of reminding the audience of what you told them. So you want to get the functions of all the 3 or 4 parts done and then end. So the conclusion must conclude. Don't go on and on and on for no purpose. The next thing is make sure that you're actually practicing the conclusion. So some of you, when you're at home, are going to practice from the very beginning. You're going to do that open with impact, and you're going to go to your thesis, and you're going to make some kind of mistake. So when you make a mistake, what will you do? You'll go back to the open with impact, go to the thesis. Maybe this time you'll get to the reason to listen, make a mistake. What will you do? You'll go back to the open with impact, reason to listen, ethos, preview. Maybe you'll get halfway through main point 1 and make a mistake, and then you'll go back to the open with impact. So that's a problem for lots of reasons. One reason is by the time you've finally got all the way through the end of the conclusion, you will maybe only practice the conclusion one time and have done it correctly. And so that means the conclusion will be less well rehearsed and less well practiced than the rest of the speech. So don't make that mistake. You want each part to be about adequately, and evenly prepared. The other bad thing that will happen is by that time you will have opened with impact, 17, 18, 19 times in your practice, and you'll be sick of your open with impact. So instead, why don't you work the parts and learn to connect the parts? So for example, maybe get really good at the open with impact, then start practicing the thesis, and then learn to connect the open with impact to the thesis. Then, if you've got your reason to listen, get good at the reason to listen and learn to connect that to the thesis. And then ethos, learn to connect that to reason to listen. And then preview with your 1, 2s, 3s, learn to connect that to your ethos. You get what I'm saying? Practice the parts and then learn to connect them. And then once you've gotten pretty good at connecting those parts, then maybe try a couple of run-throughs through the entirety of the speech. And if you make a couple of mistakes in that practice, no big deal. You might make some mistakes when you're actually publicly orating and giving your final speech too. We don't care. Mistakes only prove that you're human. So we like to learn from humans as opposed to computers. So make sure you actually practice the conclusion too. Same way, summary, learn to connect the summary to the tie back to the open, which I also call close with impact in another lecture. Learn to connect that tie back to the open to your memorable line, or if it's a persuade, to the call to action, that kind of thing. I hope that you get the point there. Those are the general tips that I have on the conclusion. 1, make sure you actually conclude, and 2, practice the conclusion as well. All right.